Hey everyone, this is episode 32 of Noodle Time. Welcome back. Here with me is a gentleman that is not so happy about last night, Eric. OSG, say hello.
Yeah, Andreas, you're right, bro. You're right. Not happy at all about the performance last night, but it is what it is. But it's definitely not what performance we expected last night. So I'm sure we'll get into this episode. And no, I'm not the optimistic soccer guy today. That's for sure. But we'll let you figure out what my name is today.
Yeah. No, but yeah. We are gonna go through a very difficult game that was against New England Revolution on the road. And yeah, I mean, there's just a lot to talk about because just coming out of the Cincinnati game, we thought that the Dynamo essentially stood a chance, and depending on like whatever the starting lineup was going to be heading into this one, and yeah, like they had something going on in the first half, but in the second half after the second goal, they essentially just fell off a cliff, and they did not show any signs of life, and I was pretty much upset the entire second half because they were doing nothing. They were doing nothing to change things outside of the subs, which we can get into a little bit because Ben Olsen said a couple interesting comments during the press conference after the game, and yeah, it's just a lot to talk about, especially in the second half, because this was a pretty tough game. And like I said, just coming out of Cincinnati game, it was slightly unexpected, even though like obviously we're still starting the season with a new team with a lot of questions still that need to be answered. But this is not a good look, at least this early for Dynamo.
Yeah, man, two different stories from Cincinnati to New England. It's just last night was absolutely disappointing and disheartening because going into Cincinnati we had high expectations, not too high, but we didn't expect to win. We didn't win, but we played well, and you could walk out of Cincinnati with your head high because you look like you were better and you're coming together, and then we go into this week and it's just complete opposite. There was 2 pointers that I mentioned to a friend of ours that I was like, man, we need to continue to work on our chemistry as a unit, and we need to find the final third. We did neither, and it just killed it, man. It just killed us big time. But yesterday, before we even get into the game, I decided to go to Houston to a watch party. So I traveled yesterday. I met up with the Surge over at Eureka Heights. Thank you for hosting us, Eureka Heights, as always. Away days, Eureka Heights, guys, come follow with the Surge. We mentioned that Texian was going to be at Pitch 25, and of course, Albation is at Texas Tailgate doing their watch parties. But I drove into Houston yesterday, met up with the Surge, hang out at Eureka Heights, picked up our brand new jerseys, man. See how
Yeah,
sponsored by
looking pretty
Eureka
sharp. Yeah.
Heights. Got our coffee dude over here. We got our Pitch 25. Not very good looking, but we're getting that fixed. But man, this is a very sharp jersey right here, brother. Very very sharp
Yep.
jersey. And these are for members. Obviously, it's too late to order you one now, but all the members, if you haven't got it yet, here it is. I know you've seen it online, but you also get whatever you call this damn thing. I forget what it's called.
Fanny pack or
But
just like a
yeah, yeah,
hamper.
yeah. Fanny pack. Yeah,
Yep.
we'll call it.
Yep.
It's your fanny pack. It's your Surge fanny pack. It's smooth. It looks very nice. It's got 2 pockets.
Yep.
Sorry guys, if you're listening on Anchor or Spotify or Apple, you can't see what I'm showing you, but on YouTube I am. Boom, fanny pack.
Yeah, for the audio listeners, all you need to know is that extra storage is always important, especially on your hips. But yeah.
especially as always. And then of course when you open it up, you have your stickers that come with it. You got your Surge sticker right here. You've got your, what is this one? Oh, the Surge Supporters Group. Make sure I'm holding it correctly. Got your Surge Supporters Group sticker, and then
Nice.
your Simp Your H-Town sticker with the fox
I
in
love
it.
that sticker. I love it.
Oh, always they make sure they have a million of these. And then this little cool Surge sticker that kind of reflects the light.
Oh
Nice
yeah,
little
I see
neat,
it.
guys.
Nice.
So, guys, if you are listening on the audio, go ahead and just touch into YouTube. It's the very beginning of the show, so you don't have to watch very much of the show to to see what we're actually showing right there. Uh, and then, of course, our Surge bracelet that has Dash has all our sponsors on it too. Let's see. It's hard to Eureka Heights pitch 25. I don't think it has second drought on here. Yeah, it does. It has second drought. So all the places that the Surge are involved with as far as the brewing companies, that this is your so that you can get your discount while you're at those places. And if you're a Surge member, you get one. So that was fun. But hung out with the guys. Quite a few people did show up at Eureka Heights yesterday, and we watched the game together. We were having a good time for the most part, but and then the game came on, and then there
Yeah,
was, and there it was that.
especially the second half. But yeah, that's definitely right.
Yeah, yeah. So and I guess we can just jump into it. But the starting lineup, and Clark stayed in goal, and then defenders left to right was Schmidt, Hadabi, Bartlow, and then Dorsey got the start, and Escobar wasn't even on the bench, so he didn't. I guess his injury kind of flared up or whatever that he had. Of course, the midfield was the same: Coco Ache and Arthur, and then up top, very confusing here. You had Franco on the left, Baird on the right, but coach's decision. Thor
Yep.
starts over Seabass, which threw everybody for a loop. Everybody. We weren't expecting that at all. When we saw the lineup, we're like, whoa, what's going on? And obviously after the game, Ben Olsen said that it was just a coach's, or somebody said it was just a coach's decision. So he better explain himself better than that, though.
No, yeah, and yeah, we can definitely start with a review of the game with the starting lineup. And shout out to Victor Araiza from the striker. You probably know him from Twitter or whenever you get the news from the striker. And yeah, he was the one that asked Ben Olsen about the changes in the starting lineup. And essentially, Dorsey essentially was swapped for Escobar because of his injury. And essentially, Ben also said that Thor came in for Sebas just as a coach's decision. So, and for me, I was also a little bit thrown off because the midfield wasn't really adjusted, and I felt like without having made some adjustments to at least provide the ball forward to Sebas or at least Thor, I felt like not much would have changed because I feel like Sebas and Thor have like similar playing styles for the most part, but just changing the striker, I felt like that wasn't gonna do much heading into this one, which I thought it was pretty odd. And Dorsey had a bad game, and
He
yeah,
played worse. He played worse than Bear did against Cincinnati. So that Dorsey got
no,
his
yeah,
butt kicked. Like I don't know what that dude was doing the whole game, man. He was out of place yesterday. Like he belonged on U15 Academy team. Shit.
no, yeah, and I don't want to. So, he is technically involved in all three scoring plays, but I don't really want to just like focus our issues with him entirely. Like obviously he had like a pretty bad game, and he was just like, wasn't ready to protect his flank. But at the same time, we want to look at all the angles essentially because New England had a pretty amazing midfield, like, and essentially they just crowded um, us and didn't give us like any options to do anything, especially in the second half. And yeah, like they had like a pretty they came in pretty well structured, especially in the second half because the first half that was when we had like the most opportunities to get on the board or at least get some decent opportunities in, especially Tate Schmidt sending the ball to Coco constantly. And I mean, shout out to Tate Schmidt and Coco. They're still our best players to start the season, and Ache as well. He did fall off like in the second half. Like not much was seen from him, but like early on in the first half, like they kept showing up, and and yeah, I just really want to highlight those moments in the first half because the second half they fell off a cliff after the second goal and nothing else happened, which was pretty upsetting. Which we can get into, but after we talk about the lineup, but but yeah, like those were like the only changes in the lineup, and yeah, it was just obviously just coming out of the game against Cincinnati, you felt like they were gonna be putting up a decent performance at least coming into the. Obviously, you're still on the road against New England, and yeah, they were pretty much just like expected. Okay, we we might lose this game by a slight margin, or we're gonna put in a good performance, and yeah, it was just not good enough, honestly.
Definitely not good enough. I mean, they started the game out okay, but weather wasn't going to be an issue. We a lot of people saying it's going to be cold. These guys aren't going to be used to the cold, and it's not their first time playing in cold weather, so cold's not going to be an issue. The snow wasn't an issue, even though it was snowing and it wasn't raining. So it's not like they were soaking cold, wet, and just kind of trembling and freezing. So, they started off the game okay, but I mean that's it. That's about as high as they got. Was they played okay, and then they just went straight up downhill towards the end of the first half, and did not pick it back up in the second half, and just got their butts kicked, man. They just got their butts kicked. I mean, the only thing they did that was decent was there was some possession, but there wasn't any creativity out of that possession. And start of the game, New England had the ball a lot, and then just the numbers kind of switched up as New England started defending. And man, that's just a horrible performance last night. Is I guess the nicest way I could say it.
No, yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, but like essentially the start of the game, like holding on to possession, and obviously they just started to like absorb the attack and tried to like spring either the counter or just like a decent play. And like initially it was working, but then they came out like the silly giveaways that they essentially kept giving away the ball, and the plays kept getting broken because of that. And that was like at least like past the 15th, 20th minute, and yeah, it was just annoying because and I don't like just coming out of the game against Cincinnati like that. You would expect that they have figured something out already in the sense of trying to have like some chemistry or at least address the issues from that game. But yeah, past the 20th minute, like it they just look pretty sloppy, and like even though they get the chances in like over the course of the first half, yeah, the goal essentially was like the dagger, which started the whole thing up until halftime because yeah, New England from there just kept possession of the ball. They looked pretty comfortable with the ball, and Houston was just like struggling to get it back. And yeah, like it's just it was just disappointing, but not as bad as the second half, honestly.
Yeah, and in the first half, we had a couple shots on target. The Franco header, but went straight to the keeper. Hector Herrera took a curling shot that just went over the bar. There was another Hector Herrera shot that he just didn't get no power behind it. He didn't kick it properly, and it just rolled straight to the keeper. So we didn't really test their keeper. We did get some shots on goal, but then after that, like you said, we just became ghost and just disappeared, and there was nothing from the team, no fight, no grit, nothing, man. Like last night, I think they were just shell shocked at what happened last night at the same time, and that affects your game mentally. And when you're mentally off, you're gonna play bad.
Oh yeah, and oh yeah, and a little bit before the first half ended, like they would concede the first goal, and it came off the flank, and obviously that's like the first of many bad ones like coming out of Dorsey's side, and no, it wasn't. Well, the pass itself wasn't coming off Dorsey's side, but rather he was like at the end of the pass because essentially he was supposed to mark the goal scorer, which essentially he was just like standing properly or like even close to him to mark him properly, and yeah, I feel like that was a goal to I wouldn't say like an easy goal to prevent, but rather if you were paying attention to your marker, you could have at least done something, but yeah, like
That's the big thing right there. Your mark. He did not pay attention to his mark. Bartlow had the ball came across from the right wing. Smith was trying to deflect the ball, but the cross came in on the ground. It was low. Bartlow had his man marked, and he created enough interference to where that player did not get the ball, and it continued moving across the box, and Dorsey was running towards the goal and not paying attention to his mark, and that's when the shot was just easily taken in, and there's nothing Steve Clark could have done about it. Dorsey, when you're in the box, you cannot forget your mark, brother. You cannot.
yeah, and they would. half, like I think it was just like one more opportunity to score before the end of the first half, which I believe it was like that set piece for Ache Ache. And yeah, just heading into halftime, I was thinking, okay, they they're pretty much getting their butts kicked, like you said, and I feel like they had to like make some adjustments right away, and just based on the game against Cincinnati, I feel like they had a good understanding on how to like switch things around. Since we've seen how they adapted to that game, which they could easily apply for this game, and I would say that wasn't the case. Mostly just because New England are a different team compared to Cincinnati, and they just had like another structure that Houston wasn't really up up like ready against or like ready to be against or and yeah, like it's just entering the second half, like just conceding that second goal early pretty much like destroyed the game for Houston because I didn't see like any significant adjustments made to start the second half. And just I mean, and that pass from Gill, shout out to that pass because that pass was amazing, and just sending it all the way across to the back line to like find the winger
He would.
on Dorsey's side, and then to Bobby Wood to cross it to Bobby Wood, which obviously was a pretty difficult stop, but at the same time, like if if you were paying attention and just ready to take it, uh, there would have been a chance to like at least block the shot or interfere with the play, because like Dorsey for this goal and the third goal, like he looked like he was just chasing his marker, and he looked pretty terrible.
He was playing ring around the rosy with himself. Like the dude would go to the right, he'd go to the right. Hey, let's go back to the left. Let's go back to the left. Dorsey looked horrible in those plays right there. And then the second goal to Bobby Wood, you know, this one's again talking about losing your mark. Teenage lost his mark a little bit, and he was trying to play catch up. And as the ball came across, you can see as and the camera pans over, you see Teenage he diving to try to get the ball, and he was a little bit late. But Bobby Wood was not late; he was in front. And so again, if you're just paying attention to your marks, guys, you're MLS professional players. You can read the game. You should know what to expect, what's coming. Uh, and you're not trying to keep off sides because you're behind the ball first off, but don't lose your friggin' marks, especially in the box, man. That's just so dangerous. And Dorsey got made look like a little kid, and the cross came right across the middle of the box, and there's nothing Clark could do about it. So Davey was beaten. Bobby would put it in the back of the net. They're up 2-0, and that was what, like 9 minutes into the second half. So here we are struggling again after the whistle.
Oh yeah, and after the second goal, like the Dynamo will fall off a cliff, and they wouldn't exist really. Like they wouldn't get into goal. Like they will get like outside the box, but they will just like either just dribble around trying to find like a good spot to shoot, or be inside the box and not shoot at all because of like the crowd that they pretty much like set up to disrupt the Dynamo. And New England did a pretty good job with that. And I said it in the previous episode that coming into this one, they're gonna frustrate the Dynamo by just crowding the midfield. And for the most part, I was right on that. And they were just like well prepared heading into this one. So shout out to them for just being prepared and just knowing what to do to frustrate the Dynamo, to just like put them on the edge, and yeah, just forcing those like mistakes from them to either lose the ball or just like break the plays, because it was for them it was a good, an amazing game that tactically speaking, but yeah, like for us, like we were just like us like shell struck and just like nervous after the second goal, which and we didn't do absolutely nothing to respond aside from the substitutes really.
That goes credit to Bruce Arena and to his smarts, because it obviously looks like he went and watched game tape of us in Cincinnati, and you could see where our weaknesses were, and they literally exploited our weaknesses in this game, and New England just took advantage of it. And I can guarantee you there wasn't no Dynamo fan out there that said New England was going to win 3-0. So this was just a bitter surprise to us, and um, thank God we have a bye this week so we can go back to the field. And And I don't think they deserve a day off. They better get off that plane and go straight to HSP and get back to work because Austin in 2 weeks is coming in, and that's our home opener against those ugly guys. So they better work on it, and they better. I don't care what they got to do. Uh, Play some games together, get used to each other, just have some fun together, and just go out there and just play soccer the right way. And I think they might be trying too hard right now.
for sure. I don't know. Yeah, that was second goal, and then the third goal will come in like right around 12 minutes after conceding that one, and like I said, like still like in that particular moment, like Houston wasn't doing anything, and yeah, Brandon Bay will score. Like also like we just like Borrero like on Dorsey's side, just handling him like crazy. Like Dorsey just had a horrible game, and yeah, just enabling Borrero to like cross it to Latif Blessing to send Brandon Bay to score, and it was just horrible, and I was like upset, and I was upset after the second goal, but the third goal I was like, yeah,
Dude, and watching that third goal live when it happened, we couldn't tell that it was deflected at first by just initial reaction. You're like, that had to be deflected, right? Because Steve Clark did
yeah,
nothing, and it looked like he was stepping to the right, and then the ball just hits the net. Like, dude, you're the keeper, bro. Make the save. But after watching the play, it does look like Tate Schmidt deflected the ball, and unfortunate. It's one of those where you take a shot, you get in the way, but it still finds its way into the net, and that one, Jesus Christ, dagger in the back right there. Looked ugly, but like you said, Dorsey just terrible game. Looked really bad. Then I even at one point right there after the second goal, I was like, just put in Morano because he was on the bench, and that's probably your backup coming off the bench if you need a support. And I was like, just bring in the kid, just bring in the kid and let him play. And but obviously Dorsey just was given the reins to just stick it out, and he failed miserably yesterday. So
so yeah,
fair.
it was just terrible all around, and yeah, we did make some substitutions, but I felt like it was too late to like make adjustments to uh, make something out of this game, and yeah, we did get a four substitutions, and yeah, essentially, Luis Caicedo did make his Dynamo debut yesterday, coming on for Artur, and also we did see Amin Abbasi making his MLS debut for Dynamo as well, replacing Ivan Franco, and and Quinones did come in also for Corey Baird around 66 minutes, and yeah, like I get, and the one substitution that I was essentially just confused about, and we mentioned it already, was when Sebas was brought on for Thor, which yeah, but like we said, Ben said that it was a coach's decision, and Sebas coming for Thor, I felt like it wasn't gonna do much if we didn't change things around midfield right away, and yeah, I thought it was just odd for me because like Sebas would come in and Thor didn't do anything. I knew right away that Sebas wasn't going to do anything because our midfield needed some adjustments. And yeah, I don't know what the decision was here to have a Thor starting over Sebas in a pretty in a game. Well, in a lineup that didn't make specific adjustments. Although, like I wouldn't necessarily say player wise because coming off against Cincinnati, our midfield did pretty well, and yeah, maybe like putting I mean Evasi right away after the second before the second half, to change things around. But yeah, like it's just interesting how this approach is made.
Yeah, dude, I agree. And like, there's nothing in my eyes from the previous game. There's nothing Sebastian Fidea did to deserve to be benched in the second game of the season already. Thor is a different type of player than Sebastian Fidea, but Sebastian should have started. He is our DP. That's what we're paying him for. It's game number 2. It's not like he's on a run of 5 poor games in a row. He's just on one game. And so he should have started. He should have been given the chance, and then Thor should have came in at the 60-minute mark instead of Sebastian Fidesz. But Ben, he's because of that one lineup change that he made right there. He got a lot of fans riled up and a lot of fans questioning the coach already, which is in game 2. But we don't know why he did it. He said coach's decision. He's going to have to give us some more details, which we'll probably never. Dang, Liverpool scored again, 4-0. He'll probably never. He'll probably never tell us, and we probably won't hear from it at all. But maybe it'll sneak out why he made that, what his true decision was, and I don't expect him to say, because that's you're going to. Who knows? He could just be political, just make something up, I guess. But I'd rather have the truth. But Sebastian should have started. Thor should have came in the second half. I really would like it if both of them can play up top, but that's kind of hard to do in the formation and the players that we have out there. But it is so. But Bossi came in with 24 minutes to go in the game. What did you think of his play for those last 24 minutes?
I mean, unfortunately, it was too late to change anything because it wasn't his fault that we were in this situation. But at the same time, I thought like he has some interesting flashes, but not a lot to take away from home. And
Right.
obviously, this was his first game, and obviously he needed that time to get adjustment. And even Ben Olsen said so itself, because like he wanted Abasi to get those minutes already and start getting acclimated to league play. And yeah, but at the same time, I feel like he should have come in like way earlier, or like even before the second half started, because it was a mess. And yeah, thankfully we don't have to talk about the game past the third goal, because like I said earlier, Houston fell off a cliff and didn't do anything else after the third goal, and it was horrible.
And then like you said, we got 2 weeks to prepare for the next game. So lineup changes. Maybe Bossy comes in and Baird doesn't start this time, because if he's taking Seabass off and putting Thor on because he thought Seabass wasn't looking well, then what about Baird? Because Baird's now 2 games in a row didn't look well either. He played better yesterday than he did against Cincinnati, so we can give him that and not knock on him as much as we were all last week. But that's a change that we should expect over there. Put Bassi on the right, leave Franco on the left, or let's just run the 4-4-2 and have the four diamond, and you can. I don't know. You'll just have Franco and Sebastian Fede up top, and Bossi playing like the cam, and then leave the other three midfielders behind Bossi. And there's some changes to do. There's something to think about. It's a home game, so Ben Olsen's got some work, but luckily he's got 2 weeks to think about it. And oh man, I'm sure he's scratching his head after last night too, because I know we are. Like, two different performances. Cincinnati's a great team. New England, not such a great team, but they're getting better. They, not too long ago they were in the Cup, so they're still potentially there. They have a great coach. So, I mean, I guess it is what it is.
No, yeah,
And
and yeah, and a couple of takeaways from this game, like from the very few takeaways to even take into consideration after that game. I felt like for me it was just right after the game in the press conferences for both Bruce Arena and Ben Olsen, because one of the things I found interesting is that Bruce Arena commended the Dynamo as a good team, and I felt like that was interesting because obviously just hearing that from an a coach that has been in MLS since forever and knows his trade, that's interesting to see. And obviously I'd recognize the situation that Ben Olsen is, that he has to essentially rebuild a team that has failed to rebuild for like several years now. It's interesting to see that. And yeah, maybe it's just like a matter of like adjustments or something that Ben Olsen is still sorting out. But yeah, that's just interesting to hear coming out of Bruce Arena's mouth. That, and also the fact that Ben Olsen was pretty much like visibly upset with how the second half turned out, just based on the press conference, because he didn't, for like when he was asked for like opening remarks from the club, he didn't have any, and the press conference was over in like less than 5 minutes, and he was just like, he seemed pretty pissed. But yeah, like a lot of it to take in, honestly. Those are the things like I felt like I should are important to like take into consideration heading to the next one.
yeah, shout out to Bruce Arena for even saying that about the Dynamo, because you never have to say anything about your opponent to begin with, and he actually praised us even though he kicked our butts yesterday. So I'm hoping that what he's seeing is something that we'll see in the future as well, and that we are going down the right track, and we'll get this thing together, and we'll find our chemistry, and play well and play forever orange, and I'll give the fans something to cheer about. Yeah. So thank you, Bruce Arena, buddy.
Yeah. And let's put this game behind us because I'm tired of talking about it. Let's
Well,
let's
hold on before we put it behind us, because one, we could talk about pro referee, but I talked to a friend. Well, we're going to call them friends, but I talked to Revolution Recap, and they have their own podcast in New England. Before the game on, I think it was Friday, I talked to him, and I just wanted to ask a few questions to see what the New England perspective was us coming up there. And the first question I asked was what take away their performance against Charlotte, and he's like, it wasn't a convincing win, but it's a good start to the year. They said they're missing some players that are not, and they're not 100%, but to go up against 67,000 people, was a remarkable win for them. And so they were happy with it. And my second question is, what was your expectations against the Dynamo? And when he said this to me, I was like, crap, man, because Cincinnati, Smith and Franco did well and did well defensively. Baird and Escobar had horrible games, and the right side I saw as our weak spot. So that'll be the opponent's left side, and they go. They wanted to see a stronger game from Dewan Jones, who is their left back, and Burrell, which is their left wing, and can get them down the left side when they are on the attacking front and pushing forward. They want to see more explosiveness and offensive from the Revs. Well, what happened? Those two guys had stellar games, had an excellent game, and it's on our right side, and they made Dorsey look we were playing a man down the entire game. So I mean, they hit it right on the friggin' nose right there with that what they were hunting to see, and that's something that what's Bruce Arena probably saw the game tape. Like we can take advantage of this side. That's for sure, and they absolutely did. Third question I asked him was thoughts of the Dynamo coming in, and he's they praised us at the same time, and that's nice of them because I didn't ask him to. I was just looking for honest answers, but they said they think they might surprise people. And the box score, Cincinnati shows they can put up a fight and beat the Revs towards the end of the last. And we beat the Revs towards the end of last season. And he said, I think they'll be a tougher opponent than some people think. So they expected a little bit of game out of us, and just we didn't give it to them. So I hope they feel bad about that prediction. No, I'm just kidding. But proud of them for saying Dynamo. They expected more out the Dynamo. We just didn't bring it up there. Asked them if weather was going to be an issue. They said they didn't think it being an issue. All their weather was coming in early and going to clear up late, and shouldn't be no problem with the field. And it's a football stadium, so they've got anything they can do to remove the snow if it was going to be a big snow. Then I asked them their game prediction, and they predicted the Revs would win 2-1. I replied back to them and said, I thought we would win 2-1, but basically I said first team to score 2 goals is going to win the game. Unfortunately, we didn't even score any, so we didn't even have a chance at that. But Revolution recap. I like to, for me, OSG, I like to go listen to the opponents' pods after our games, just to kind of hear the recap of what they thought from the opponent perspective, what they thought of the Dynamo. So I'm gonna go, guys. If y'all would like to listen to that, it's Revolution Recap. You can find them on Spotify. Go give them a listen when their episode comes out, which I can't tell you when it does. But just to get the perspective of the other team to see, maybe if your perspective of this game was the same as the opponent was seeing it, because we're biased and we see from our orange hearts, and the opponent sees it from a different way. But just in case you want to see if you're in the same touch, but and that's pretty much it with them. And I told them thank you and good luck, and I guess I wish them too much luck.
No, I mean, shout out to Revolution Recap for all that, honestly, and obviously you for reaching out to them and getting those answers, because it's definitely good to just have a different perspective other than ours. But yeah, especially with a team that has been changing constantly, and yeah, just a team that's just looking to improve upon things, and yeah, shout out to them, honestly, and for giving us those answers. And yeah, if you wanna go ahead and get started, I'll start it with the MLS weekend roundup. We can try at least get the scores in from the weekend.
You're pushing. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, one more that pro referee from last night,
Oh yeah, of course.
dude. Now, like when I was coaching, I taught my girls, like, don't worry about the referee. The referee doesn't dictate our game. We play our game and just go out there and fight. And I'm not going to say the referee dictated our game last night. We actually looked pretty bad and we lost, and that's 100% our fault. But as a former referee for however long, many years that I refereed, I did not like that referee last night. He just, anytime he saw contact, he blew the whistle, and half the time it wasn't even contact, or it was not just the guys embellishing the foul or the no foul. I mean, Coco got a card and he didn't even touch the guy. The dude touched him and he went down. Oh, I'm hurt. And the referee blew the whistle and gave Coco a card. And when you watch the replay, Coco didn't even touch him or acknowledge him. So that referee last night was just a horrible referee. And I would say like maybe he had a bad game, but he was consistent throughout the entire game. So that tells me that's his style of refereeing. And I don't want to see that guy again. Please let the guys play the soccer game.
Yeah, and obviously, like you said, like we didn't lose this game because of the referee. Like that's pretty obvious. But I've seen like my fair share of pro games here in MLS, and I know where something is extremely bad with some solid refereeing. And this game in particular, it I thought the referee was kind of inconsistent. Like he was giving us like a lot of yellow cards, given that a couple of them were pretty much well deserved. And I feel like a couple of calls were interesting because he did give a yellow card to Steve Clark in the first half because of time wasting, and I don't think it was like taking that long. He was just like setting up the goal kick still,
Bro, it's
and
0-0. It was still 0-0. What are we wasting time for, anyways? So, like,
yeah, like I thought that booking was odd, and no, yeah, like you said, like it close calls that looked like contacts that weren't actually contacts. He was just like whistling those a lot, and we ended the first half with three yellow cards, I believe, and yeah, like I said, some of those fouls pretty much yellow cards, but not like he was just whistling a lot, and I feel like he was a pretty weird referee, but not the worst one in pro, that's for sure. So it's just an interesting referee to keep an eye on.
yeah, very interesting. We ended up with 4 cards altogether: Coco, Clark, Bartlow, and Dorsey. Coco and Clark shouldn't have got their cards. And then it looks like they had 2 yellow cards, both from the left side. And so, yeah, inconsistent referee. But like you said, now we can move on to the MLS recap, man. And yesterday, the first game to start off the day was LAFC got to play their first game against Portland, and we got to Eureka Heights a little early, so we were actually watching this game, and just LAFC looked dominating, just absolutely dominating. They got up to 3-0 pretty quick, and then as the game was starting to wind down, somehow Portland comes back and puts in 2 goals themselves and tries to make it look like a game on the score sheet, at least 3-2. I don't know if you were able to watch that first game yesterday.
I did like I did get to see like early like good chunks of the first half and like a little bit later on the second half, and yeah, that game was pretty entertaining, especially when Portland just put two on LAFC to like essentially just put the game back on. And I don't know, yeah, it's just LAFC dominating overall, and I thought it was pretty interesting. They're the team to beat in the league.
Yeah, and their first goal was Cellini, who was just sitting in the box, and he just kind of deflected off of somebody and it fell right to his feet, and he punched it in. Second goal was a PK, which was a easy PK to give, and Velo's the one who took it and scored. And so, you know, they slowed down after that, but and then Portland started to play, but that was too late for Portland to make a comeback, and they tried, but nope, didn't work for them. Then after that, Atlanta hosted Toronto. That was 1-1. So that seemed like that was too exciting of a game. Columbus hosted DC United 2-0. Here's one that's probably going to get some people up, but Philadelphia can lose on the road, and they did yesterday to Inter Miami, and Inter Miami beat them 2-0, man. And that was a
Oh no, yeah, Inter Miami, they're no slouch.
no.
They got much better. They're pretty good.
That was the big surprise to me whenever I saw the score, and like I had to go look at stats and just to make sure to see what happened right there, and it wasn't just a fluke. But it looks like they played pretty evenly with Philadelphia the entire game, and they were the ones that just put the ball in the net. And credit to Inter Miami, they're going to be a tough opponent this year, and we got them pretty early this season too. So that might be a hard one to win as well. Of course. But then, of course, there was our game. Don't need to remind us of the score. Red Bulls in Nashville played to a 0-0 tie. And then Cincinnati went to Orlando in a 0-0 tie. Now, I wasn't expecting that one in that game. I was expecting some goals in that game because Orlando, they're a pretty good offensive team. And we showed that we could play Cincinnati. We just couldn't score. So that one, 0-0, was really surprising to me right there. Austin at home, they wait. I don't know. I don't watch their entire games. So I know their fan base has got to be pretty pissed with their performance right now. They did beat Montreal 1-0, but it was like I think it was the 87th minute. Where was it? Yeah, 88th minute, man, 88th minute, and they scored their goal late to win it. And of course, it was the broken arrow, Maxi Uridi, that scored the friggin' goal. But it was a great sequence. They crossed came across the box, and a player, instead of headed into the goal, he headed it right back across and it right to Uridi's feet, and Uridi put it in. And so they got their 1-0 win against Montreal. And when you go look at the stats right there, that was a little bit of an even game right there as well. It looks like Austin had more possession, and they just put it through at the end. But good effort, Montreal, but suck that one up. Chicago and NYFC 1-1. So that's showing NYFC ain't looking too good to start the season. And so that's hopeful for us because we got them after Austin at home. FC Dallas went and whooped Galaxy. And I said went, but they played in Frisco up there. They went and whooped Galaxy 3-1 right there. So we're back at the bottom of Texas now, since all three lost last week, and Dallas and Austin won this week, and we lost. So they got an edge on us already this year. Fart noise.
Yeah. So yeah, and we're pretty much last in the Western Conference right now on goal differential.
Damn it.
And yeah, obviously still season to go, but obviously not a good look to start the season. So, oh well.
Somebody in the Discord said, we got 32 games to figure it out. No, we don't have 32 games to figure it out. We have 32 games left. We better figure it out before then. And as I say that, it's Liverpool 6-0 over Manchester United right now.
Oh my goodness.
6-0.
I thought that was going to be a tough game, but what is going on here?
Yeah, for real.
I need to see those highlights after this, but man, that's crazy.
It's 5 goals in the second half too. 5 goals. I think it was 1-0 at halftime. Yeah, because it was 2-0 like at the 47th minute, and yeah, Rashford just looking like, what the heck's going on? Salah's getting a card because he took his shirt off and celebrated as he scored his second goal today too. But yeah, back to regress. Back to that's his 129th goal, so that's most in club history for Salah. So good job, man. Good job for him, and another pretty build up from Liverpool just to get that goal. And like ridiculous, man, ridiculous. Wow, what a goal! Watch the highlights later. But all right, back to MLS and the surprise kids of the league, man. And holy hell! And St. Louis at home in their home opener, 3-1 over Charlotte. Now, Charlotte's nothing big, but they're playing like they're supposed to be a better team, but they lost at home to New England, and then now they're losing to St. Louis. St. Louis is 2 wins in a row, 3-2 against Austin at Austin, and then their home opener, which is super good job, man. 3-1 St. Louis over Charlotte. I don't know if you have any takes on that before I move on.
No, man, shout out to St. Louis. I like that team, and yeah, definitely, like a lot of people just saying, like one of the, if not like the first soccer capital of the U.S., and they have like a pretty rich history when it comes to developing players and just like adopting soccer to their culture. And no, yeah, I mean, shout out to them, their fans. Obviously, great start to the season for them, and yeah, just like a lot to look forward to, and I hope to make the road trip there with the Surge, because I really want to go to a road trip there aside from the Texas ones, because I want to see some more stadiums.
Yeah, guys, as Foxtrot said, the Surge are going to St. Louis when we play St. Louis there. I couldn't tell you the exact date. I think it's June, but we're going. And so, guys, if anybody else wants to do an away day, that's the day that the Surge are going, and there'll be a few of us up there. We'll stay a couple days. check out this very nice stadium from what I can see, just from watching a couple of TikToks of people doing the tour. Amazing stadium, and it's up to date, and it's pretty freaking cool stadium. But credit to them, Charlotte scored first too, so they were down 1-0 to start the game. I think it was 22nd minute, and then St. Louis just played their hearts out. It looks like in 3-1, man. Whew. All right, but moving on. Then we got a barn burner right here: Colorado and SKC 0-0 tie. So, woohoo!
The
Which,
Barbarian.
yeah, we didn't expect anything from Colorado, and I think SKC is still playing with some injuries, so they've got some work to do. The new kids on the block, some people's dark horse or sleeper horse, I should say, is San Jose, and San Jose would have win 2-1 over Vancouver at home against Vancouver, so 2-1. And then, of course, Seattle, being Seattle, they won 2-0 to finish off the MLS slate last night, and they beat Real Salt Lake. So good job to them. That's the pretty much the MLS recap. Austin does go to RSL next week before they come to Houston the following week, so they got a road trip to make, and I'll be watching that game just to see how Austin's playing before they come in. They come into us.
Yep, and we're gonna be previewing that in the next episode, since we are still working on a couple things, but obviously want to have be like coming in fresh to preview that upcoming game. But yeah, and like we said initially, we do have the bye week next week, and right on time for the fire sale next Saturday, so that's gonna be fun. And I'm gonna be picking up my seats. Hopefully, some good merch that is available from that wasn't taken from the first hour, since I have a 1 p.m. slot. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, I'm also still thinking about how to set up the stadium seats in my house, because those don't have legs, so you have to like bolt those in, because like the way they were like set up in the stadium, like the seats were bolted onto the stands, and yeah, you have to like it is obviously just installing those at home. It's gonna be really interesting. So I'm excited to keep those seats in my house. Like, very important piece of Dynamo history for sure.
You get to be creative with your seats and how you figure out how to make that work, and maybe you find the studs in your room and bolt them to the living room and bolt them to the studs. I don't know
Multiple,
how
yeah.
that's yeah, I don't know how that's going to work, man. But good luck to you and figuring that out. But we'll be curious to see those pictures whenever that happens, right there.
No, yeah,
But
man. I'm still thinking about it. Obviously, I have to have the chairs with me to like figure the measurements and all that. But yeah, there's definitely a good chance they might just like stay with me just for collector's purposes, or what I can figure something out later if I move to a better place. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to that.
speaking of moving, and then speaking of things working on, so I'll come back to that part. But speaking of moving, I made the trip to Jesus Christ, 7-0. Liverpool
Oh
scored again.
no, man.
But all right, so speaking of Houston, obviously I made the trip yesterday, and people know I live here in Austin, and people know you live here in Austin, and they're like, "Why didn't Foxtrot come with you?" I'm like, so I just answered for you and said, "I don't know." To tell you the truth, it's like I don't think he could make it this weekend, but if you want to answer that, you can. But yeah, they were like, "Bring Foxtrot with you," and then they both reminded us that we both need to move back to Houston. So
No,
uh,
yeah.
we, we need to
No,
we
yeah.
need to make that
That,
happen.
I want to move back for sure. But yeah, at least for this week in particular, I do have my folks still in my place. Like, I'm still hanging out with them, and yeah, they've been here for like almost a couple months. But I still want to be with them before they travel back home in a couple of weeks from now. But yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense if I go with like Eric, or like at least carpool with him to like certain events. But yeah, it's just like things I have to do over the weekend that may not I may not have the ability to attend, like search events or Dynamo and Dash games. But yeah, like it's something I like to do. Like, even though Eric lives on the other side of Austin compared to me, it's we can it can be a good idea, especially if we come to Houston and then head back from I-10, just so like you can drop me off, and I guess you can just like go up to Georgetown. But yeah, it's definitely something that we have to do at some point.
Yeah, dude, we're people don't know. Well, we don't live next door to each other. We're about
Yeah,
35, 40 minutes apart from each other. So he's down by the airport, and I don't even live in the same county. I'm north of Austin.
yeah.
We,
No, yeah, he.
only toll road separates us, and I don't even have a toll tag yet. So I might have to be
No,
doing
yeah,
that.
he's way up. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like way up right now. Like where I'm pointing, and that's where he is right now. So yeah,
Way up. But yeah, and then as far as working on some things to maybe some a little extra content to the show, I've had kind of surprising too to myself. I actually had a couple people reach out to me and ask if I was doing the opponent interviews this year like we did last year on Dynalytics, and so it got me intrigued, and I've always had fun when interviewing opponents. So we might be able to still working on details and still fine tuning it, so it's not a guarantee or anything like that. But I'd like to have a good 10 to 12 minute interview with an opponent from whether it be a podcast or I try to get a media personality up there or wherever their team is from, and we'll just bring them onto the show for a few minutes and just get a perspective from the opponent, and just kind of rush through it, and then we'll go back into the show. But something to work on, look getting details, so hopefully we can fine tune that and get that as part of the show in the future,
yeah,
near
for sure.
future.
Yeah, lots of things we're working on, and yeah, and we're just glad that you guys are just like staying this long, and also um, looking at all the kinds of content that we're putting out and the things we still have planned. So we're looking forward to that, and we just hope that you guys enjoy it as much as you love the podcast. So lots to do still, lots to look forward to, and yeah, I'm just excited to where we're going. So just a couple things to keep an eye on in the future. So, but yeah, I'm excited.
Had a good one today, man. That's a good recap, even though it was a bad game to talk about. But and I always have fun on these weekends with you when we get together, and the dash start at the end of the month, so we'll be adding game reviews to the segments here later, and then dose starts pretty much right behind them as well. So we'll be adding dose content in here during April, end of March for dash. So as y'all stay tuned, look forward to us. Dynamic Foxtrot on Twitter, Old Soccer Guy, and Noodle Tempio on Twitter as well. And then, of course, you have Herman, who is not with us today. He's out of town traveling. El Dynamico, I think it's El Dynamico, but y'all know how to look him up. He's tagged in the Noodle Tempio profile. So if you need to try to find all three of us, you can also go to Kofi, where you can find all the outlets to the show, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Spotify, Apple Music. You can find us, and always hit us up on Twitter. You want to have a good conversation. You know where to find me in La Hinchada. You know where to find Foxtrot. I'm also in the Surge Discord with Foxtrot, hanging out with the boys. Hit us up, holler at us, talk to us. We've always got something else going on. But I think you had a fan question now that I remember that we probably need to get to, right?
Yes, and definitely a good way to close the episode, because we did get one question from Pupas, our main man Pupas,
Mr. Twitter
especially
Space.
Mr. Twitter Space, aka Pupas. But but yeah, we do. He did ask, was this essentially talking about the game against New England? Was this or at least like the first couple of games at Cincy and at New England? Was this the expected start to the season as initially thought? And this is obviously for the Dynamo, and it definitely depends on who you're asking as a Dynamo fan. But if you're asking me personally, it was going to be a tough start, especially just building a new team, and obviously with your some of the pieces still missing. I thought that the starting two games on the road against some of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, it was going to be a tough challenge, and we still got a lot of season to go. But I feel like having these issues just like be upfront, and also like the bad performances that are leading up to us being starting the season in last place of the Western Conference. I feel like it's a wake up call now. It's a good opportunity to definitely make those adjustments right away, and I feel like that's the thing Ben also is going to be taken care of for this bye week coming up and before the next game against Austin. And yeah, I mean, still a lot of things to look forward to, but when it comes to the expectation for this season, I feel like at the start, and like I said, considering the opponents that we just faced, I feel like it's right it was somewhat expected, at least for me.
Speaking of expectations, now I have a fan question for you, Foxtrot. We have 2 weeks off. Let's imagine that all injuries are everybody's fine and they're healthy. Let's imagine Vanderkuss is going to be available for the first team, even though we doubt he's going to start. I think he played in San Antonio yesterday, as a matter of fact. Um, and everybody's okay. We have 2 weeks off. What are you expecting to see from the lineup when we play Austin in our first home game?
Man, I think the forward line is gonna look different. Not necessarily Sebas not starting, but rather I don't think Corey Barrett's gonna be starting as well. I definitely think there are gonna be adjustments to the right side. Obviously, not just the right wing position, but also right back. Those I feel like those are definitely areas Ben also needs to look at, and yeah, the midfield, that's really up to him. Obviously, the players that have been starting, they're having a pretty decent job, but yeah, I mean, just coming out of these two bad results to start the season, it like I said, they're definitely good opportunities to take in consideration other approaches to the starting lineup, but at the same time, you'd have to like change a lot of things, particularly with the midfield. It's just a matter of the right wing, both up and down, and maybe you can take a look at the back line. Maybe an issue with like either Teenage or Bartlow, or and I mean just assuming that people are out of their injuries. There's definitely more ways to approach this. So I mean it's definitely not an easy job for Ben Olsen, especially to look for a approach to all these issues.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. And speaking of the back line, and there's nothing to really change right there. Mikel was on the bench. I don't remember. I think Steris was on the bench as well, but Steris hasn't gotten no playing time at all. And Bartlow hasn't been in the best performance, but he wasn't subbed off during the end of the games either to get Steris on and to get Steris acclimated with the team. So I'm not seeing Steris replacing Bartlow anytime soon. But you never know because Thor replaced Sebastian Fadea. But so that's some of the questions that were brought up over Twitter, I believe, yesterday. So we'll see. Yeah, right back. I don't know what we're going to do right there. Escobar didn't have a good game. Dorsey didn't have a good game the following week. So who do you put over there, or who do you figure out? I think it's just who's going to look good in practice. And then there's got to be a way to keep Franco on the field and put Bossy in the lineup somehow. And if that's Baird has to go, then Baird has to go, or you just change up the formation a little bit, or maybe you don't start Arthur and Achi has to back up a little bit, and Coco and Bossy play a dual eight, and Bossy plays up a little higher than Coco, and I don't know. So that's interesting. We'll be looking forward to it in 2 weeks and seeing what adjustments are made, and I'll be paying attention to Dynamo Fan TV and Bio City for the updates during practice this week to see if anybody's standing out or what coaches got to say about things going on over there. But so I'm hoping it's a better performance than what we had yesterday. Especially, we're doing a tailgate prior to the Austin game. So, guys, if you're there, come early. We'll be in Lot C. The Surge will be in Lot C for a tailgate. I'm sure the Texian Army will be there with us. Albation, they stay at Texas Tailgate pretty much exclusively. But, man, come out and hang out with us. There should be some food trucks, and there should be some music playing. And we're hoping that we can sell the stadium out because Austin's coming with 2 full sections for that first game, which means it's probably going to be like 6 buses, 5 or 6 buses. So we got to be able to fill that stadium and just be louder than they are when they're trying to make some noise. And I know that a lot of that's going to depend on the performance of the players. But, man, y'all be ready and be loud and come to the game for sure.
Yep. No, yeah, and that's an episode. But yeah, a lot to take into consideration and a lot to look to think about, especially this early in the season. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing else but to hold it down, man. We and stay with this team, and we just gotta root for them.
Yeah, we're there. We're there. I don't have a wooden spoon, but I don't want one. So uh, we just hold our heads high and just we're good. Wait, what's it say? Forever orange. So either whether it's first place
Forever.
or 14th place, yeah.
Yeah.
See, forever orange back behind us, guys, and It doesn't matter what place we're in, we're still going to be there supporting our team, and just we're going to be pushing them from afar, So that's about as good
So yeah,
attitude you're going to get right now from us after that performance yesterday.
yep. No, yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in, and obviously this being a tough episode. And yeah, no, not much else to do but to stay noodle.
And hold those H's up.
Yep.